Okay, we are live. Let's see. All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome in. I am super excited to be live. I know it's been a while since I have been, but I am starting this new series and it is called Social Profit. So you are going to be able to watch this video version of this on YouTube, Facebook, and then I'm also putting the audios on all of your podcast platforms. So if you guys are podcasters, you'll be able to get this there as well. But I'm super excited to start talking more about content marketing and social media because it's a question that I get all the time as far as how to grow your social media, how to use social media to be able to build your business. And I've been in a social media space since 2018, technically 2019. I was kind of playing around with it in 2018, took it a little bit more seriously in 2019, and then 2020, of course, just like everyone else, um really started like going heavy and learning how to build an online business using social media. Now if you guys can hear me, if you're on here live, if you can give me like a thumbs up, just so that I know you can hear me before I like start talking and going into some of the stuff that I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Give me like a thumbs up in the comments. I don't know if I can see the comments on here. I'm using a new software, so y'all gotta like y'all have to be patient with me. I don't even know if I'm looking at the comments right. Hold on, y'all. Okay. So if you're on here live, I see a few of y'all, and I'm sure most people will watch the replay. So if you are watching the replay, make sure you are giving me a thumbs up and telling me that you're watching the replay. Or if you are listening to the podcast on the audio platforms, definitely make sure you go ahead and leave a review and let me know what was your favorite part of some of the things that we're going to talk about today. But I want to again touch on social media and why it's probably not working for you. One thing that I hear all the time from people is that they either don't know what to post, they don't know what to do, or they've been posting and it's just not working. Okay, this is something that I hear so often, and so that's why I wanted to start this series with social profits and really just pour into you guys and give you pretty much everything that I've been learning over these last few years as far as social media marketing, because it's definitely not easy. um and it can be confusing because there's so much information that is out there right now about how to go viral and how you should be making content. But it's challenging because a lot of these different marketing agencies, they are extremely out of touch when it comes to social media marketing and content marketing in today's world, and that is really just a fact. Back in 2021, I actually hired a marketing agency. I hired this agency, and with this agency, I was thinking that they were going to help me scale, the marketing that I was already doing because I was already on social media. I had been taking it seriously for the last year or so because this was 2021. So I really started taking it serious in 2020, but I felt like I could use like some expertise, some professionals, right? So I went and paid this marketing company a ton of money. And when I tell you that this agency was so out of touch with real content marketing and how to post content in their client's tone of voice and actually connecting with people, it was a total waste of money as far as like the results aspect of it. But I definitely learned that what I was doing with social media, it wasn't as bad as what I thought it was. And I realized that so many people have a hard time building genuine audiences online, because it's one thing to build an audience and build a following, but it's another thing to actually build an audience where you can monetize and make money. So, say you launch a product, or maybe you already have a business, being able to actually get them to turn into paying customers and clients is a whole different ball game than just getting views and likes and shares, because anybody can get views, right? Anyone can have a video go viral. That's why I tell people that going viral should not be your number one goal when it comes to your social media content, because people go viral for crazy things all the time, right? All the time. But that does not translate into money into your business if it's not done correctly. So that's one thing that you want to keep in mind. And that's why it can be challenging with some of these different marketing agencies when, they're saying, oh, we can get you the views, we can do paid ads, but none of that matters if you don't have a good handle on your actual content marketing. And so that's why in this series, I want to start talking about ways that you can start really mastering social media and getting or improving your content marketing so that you can start attracting customers, clients, and really just building your community so that you can grow your business as a business owner, an entrepreneur, or maybe you're someone who works in marketing for a company. Okay. And so, um, with this, I want to talk about one of the major misconceptions when it comes to social media. Okay. One of the major misconceptions is the fact that it has to be complicated. Okay. Marketing and social media is not complicated at all. You're 9 times out of 10 overthinking it. Okay. 9 times out of 10, you are. Now, when it comes to building a social media audience, it is a two-way street. So a lot of times when you are marketing your business, you're thinking you're just talking at an audience and they're supposed to receive the information and that's it, right? They receive it and they're supposed to buy something from you or do, join your email list or whatever it is that you want them to do. Now, marketing is really a two-way conversation, meaning you're talking to someone and they're talking back. It is all about building a relationship with your audience. And people are so afraid to build genuine relationships with the people that are following their brand or following their page. So many people miss out on opportunities. I've seen it many times where business owners will have in their on their bio, no DMs, or don't ask questions in the comments and things like that. When that can be very off-putting to an audience, because, like I said, marketing is a two-way conversation, or it's supposed to be a two-way conversation. And so building that relationship with your audience is very important, but it's not as complicated as what many people make it seem. And the great thing about social media, and especially in today's world and climate, is that anyone can build a social media presence. Literally anyone. Like, you don't have to be connected to celebrities. You don't have to have like some crazy skills. You don't have to, have this like luxury lifestyle. You don't have to really have any of those things in order for you to be successful in this space. Okay. You do not have to have those things. Now, because this is a two-way conversation with your audience, you want to make sure that you are speaking the right language. Okay. So, one thing that I tell my students all the time is that if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. Okay. And what I mean by that is, if you are putting out content that you want everybody to be able to relate to, you want everyone to be able to resonate with, that means you are probably reaching no one. Okay. You're not really reaching anyone of significance. You're probably not reaching the people that are actually going to buy from you or, sign up for your product or your service. If you're talking to everyone, you are talking to no one. So it's very important that you get serious about who you want to target with your social media. The way that you talk to a 40-year-old mom with 5 kids, that conversation is going to look very different than the conversation you might have with an 18-year-old boy who just graduated from high school. Two totally different conversations, right? Their interests are different. Their priorities are different. Their values might be different. They're at two totally different places in their life. So that's why you cannot target everybody when you are trying to build your social media presence. So that's why I tell all of my students that the number one thing is to hone down on who exactly it is that you are talking to. Again, this is a two-way conversation, but it's very hard to talk to someone if you two are talking two totally different languages, right? There's going to be a disconnect there 100% every single time. And so usually that's the main issue. When people come to me and asking for help, they're saying I'm posting every single day, I'm making videos, but nothing is working. 9 times out of 10 they do not have an actual target audience. So that is the main thing. If anything you take away from this video or this podcast session is to make sure you have a specific target audience. That is going to be key. Now, if you're here with me live, drop me a comment or something in the comment section so that I know that you can hear me. I know my video, it looks a little bit blurry. Like I said, I'm using a new software to stream. I wanted to see how it works. So I'm not sure if the video was clear, but hopefully the audio is good. Like I said, you'll be able to hear the audio on all podcast platforms anyways. So hopefully it's not too okay, perfect. Um, awesome. Thank you, Keisha. So, like I said, if you don't take away anything from this video, the one thing that I want you to take away is that you absolutely need to have a specific target audience. Okay. You cannot make content for everybody. You just can't. Or I guess you can technically, but you're not going to get the results that you want to get. And that's why you see people will post random type videos and they'll go viral, but they won't gain followers, or that following will not go and watch any of their other content. They won't build up an actual community of people that want to buy things from them because their target audience was too broad. Okay. It was way too broad. And that's the main mistake that I see most entrepreneurs and business owners or marketers making, is that they are not being specific enough. Now, your brand, whether you have a personal brand with your social media or if you are trying to grow like your business page for your, corporate facing brand, your business brand, one thing that you need to keep in mind is that your brand has a personality. Your brand has an entire personality, whether, like I said, a corporate company or a personal brand. And so, one mistake that I see people make all the time is that they will build up this brand personality that is the complete opposite from who they really are. And it doesn't align with a lot of their true values, their interests, their passions. And when you build a brand that's just not you, it becomes very difficult for you to sustain that. It becomes very difficult for you to actually be consistent with your marketing. Consistency is the number one key factor to why any big brand that you see today has been able to blow up in the way that they did. Is consistency. And consistency doesn't just mean posting every day. Consistency means that you are showing up in the same way every single time that you show up. So if I go on your page and I see a video from you, I should know what to expect. But if you are building a brand personality that does not align with who you are at your core, it's going to be very challenging for you to build up that consistency. And consistency is the number one way for you to start building trust with your audience. And people only buy things from people who they know, like, and trust. So if they do not trust you, they will not buy from you. Okay. But it's very, very important to have that consistency with your brand. So you don't want to get stuck building this aesthetic, building this lifestyle online that you cannot keep up with, because that is the number one way for you to get burned out. You'll get burnt out. You'll be tired of making content. Then you'll be coming to me talking about, I hate posting on social media. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to quit my business. That's usually what happens because people just get tired. But that's because they did not build a brand that was actually true to who they are. And it's okay because not everyone is going to align with your messaging and your brand personality. But remember, we don't want to attract everybody. We just want to attract our ideal target audience, our ideal customers for our business. So you want to attract the type of people that you actually want to work with and that actually want to work with you. That is extremely important. That's why that brand personality, and you really need to sit down and evaluate or reevaluate the type of content that you're posting now. Like, does this actually align with me and who I am? Am I able to keep this up for the long term? Because the worst thing to do is to start making a certain style of content, and then 6 months down the road, you can't keep up with it. And then when you try to do another style of content, it's almost like you're going to be starting over, and that's hard when you have to make that pivot, because I've made that pivot before, and that pivot is a hard pivot. Okay, when you are trying to pivot from a different style of content or a different type of content, it is hard, and it is a very humbling pivot. If you are familiar with my platform back in 2020, you know that I mostly talked about business credit and funding. I really don't talk much about that anymore, but that used to be all that I talked about. But I realized that talking about those things, it just didn't resonate with me in the core of who I am. So I stopped making the business funding content. I started having different thoughts and reservations about the type of content that I was putting out. And so I stopped making that type of content. And so doing that pivot was very humbling, because now instead of every single video getting 100,000 views, now my views started to be, 5,000, 10,000, and that was a hard transition. But it's because in the beginning I was doing what I went viral for, and I was just trying to keep up with that. That wasn't the like what I truly wanted to talk about on my platforms. And so that's why it's very important when you are building your brand personality to make sure that it aligns with who you are and where you see yourself long term. That's extremely important because people can tell when you are authentic. People can tell when you are really being true to yourself. And right now is a time for authenticity. I'm telling you, the aesthetic era of influencing and showing the cars and the houses and the watches and the shiny stuff, that era is coming to an end, and coming to an end fast. And we are now moving into an era where people are more drawn to authentic people. They're more drawn to communities. Okay, and so for you to be able to really show your true authentic self through your content, you're going to find people that are going to resonate with that, and that's going to help you grow your brand in the long run. And like I said, the same thing goes for personal brands as well as a corporate facing brand. So if you have a company or a media company, or maybe you just want to grow your actual business page, you use this same mindset and the same model, but you need to decide, what type of brand personality do I want my company to have? Because you don't want your company to show up like a company. You want your company to show up like a brand. You want your company to show up in a way that is able to build a community around it. That is extremely important for those of you that are not doing, like forward facing personal brands. You still have to have that same component that makes people feel like you are real, even though you're a company. That's one thing that I see a lot of bigger companies doing. A lot of these big companies, they are hiring full-time content creators to just make content for their page so that their potential customers and clients get used to seeing one human face instead of, a billion different influencers and content creators. And so that's why it's really important when you are building your company brand, you have a brand personality type. You have a type of brand where people are coming to you and it's like they're looking at your company as a friend. Sounds weird, but this is what these larger companies are doing right now. They are slowly making the shift to humanize their brands. They don't want to be seen as these big corporate companies anymore because that approach is no longer working. People are a lot more savvy than they were a few years ago when it comes to marketing. So nobody actually wants to feel like they're being marketed to. It's so much easier to make a sale or gain a customer when you're talking to someone who is like a friend versus talking to someone and you're being a salesman. And so those are some things that you definitely want to keep in mind when it comes to building up that brand personality. Now, I wanted to touch on trends and following trends and being trendy, because it's something that I see a lot of social media or like marketing coaches talk about. Is, you have to follow these trends. You have to use the trending sounds, and you have to do the dance trend and all these other trends. Every day is a new trend. Now, while that strategy worked back in 2020, it is no longer working in 2023. And if you get caught up in this cycle of trying to follow trends and only follow trends, you are going to find yourself spinning your wheels constantly. And you're going to find yourself being prisoner to an algorithm. And that is not how you want to grow your social media platforms. Okay. You do not want to be a prisoner to the algorithms, because then that's going to stop you from actually making authentic content that really does connect with your audience. So I see people doing these live streams, following these trends. What is it? It's like the NPC live streams, which is just so strange. But there's an audience for everything, obviously. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically where people are going on live and they are acting as if they're like an animated character inside of like a video game. So I think it's called like a non-playable character. And they're doing like, when you're on a video game, those people in the background, it's just they have these certain motions and sounds that they do. That's what that is. So people are doing that on live because they saw someone blow up and make a ton of money doing that. And so now you have all these people switching their content style to fit these trends. Or you see when you're scrolling through your reels or scrolling through your TikTok, you see the same thing over and over and over again. That is no longer working in 2023 when it comes to building your brand. Will you maybe go viral and get views? Sure. But what happens when the trend is over? Now you're trying to catch up, right? Catch up to what is trending next. And so there are ways to use trends to your advantage, but you cannot make that your marketing strategy. Okay. Because that's the fastest way to become a one hit wonder, is going viral for one thing that has nothing really to do with your brand. So if you are going to tap into some of these trends, which is definitely beneficial to tap into them every now and then, but you want to make sure that you are doing it in a way that is unique to your brand and what it is that you have to offer. So you have to put your own unique spin to it and make sure that it is still relevant to the audience that you are trying to talk to. That is extremely important. Okay. You have to make sure it's relevant. When I first started making video content, it was very, very early 2020. It was like, I think my first video, I like short form video, I should say, I posted in March of 2020. Now, I had saw this lawyer. I have no clue what his name is. I can't remember. I saw a lawyer on TikTok, and he was doing a dance trend and talking about like legal information. And so when I saw that, I was like, wow, this is interesting. I've never seen anyone do something like this. And this was back when the dance trends were super popular. Like they're still popular now, but back in 2020, that was pretty much all you saw on TikTok was like the little dances. Now the dances are like way more complicated than they were back then. So I'm definitely glad I'm no longer in that space of content because I'm not that coordinated. Back then, it was like a little easy two-step type of thing, but that was very popular in 2020. And I saw that lawyer putting out legal information with that type of content. And so that's when I said, you know what, I'm going to try to do the same thing, but I'm going to put my own spin to it. And I'm going to talk about business. I'm going to talk about business funding. And then that's how I first went viral and started really gaining traction on social media, is from that style of content. But back then in 2020, you didn't see a lot of business owners doing that type of thing. Back then, that was really seen as you being like very silly. People used to think that I was weird, I was crazy. People would say, how could anybody take you seriously? And then became a big thing when more and more people really started to catch on to that form of marketing. But again, when something is no longer unique, that's when you really need to make a pivot. Okay, because it gets very easy to get lost in the sauce of social media when your content starts to look like everybody else who is posting. So if you're going to tap into a trend, make sure that you are putting your own spin on it and doing something that is unique to you, your brand, and still relates to your audience. And then understand when to pull back when it becomes too trendy and it's no longer benefiting your brand. Okay. So I don't want you guys to be afraid to try new things, because honestly, overall, when it comes to building on social media, it's going to be a lot of trial and error. You're going to have to try new things, try new content styles. You're going to have to try those things and see what works and what resonates with your audience. And then a common mistake that I see people make all the time is that they will do trial and error, but then something will click with their audience and it'll gain traction. Their audience will say, I want more of this, want more of this. And then they'll stop doing the thing that's working. Okay, so you have to have a good balance between experimenting and trying things out, but also listening to your audience and giving them the type of content that they want from you, as long as that aligns again with the type of brand personality that you want to create, because you want to make sure that it is something that you can keep up with and it's something that is going to be sustainable for you. All right. So I hope that this information is helpful for you when it comes to understanding why social media might not be working for you, and some of the things that you can do to start using social media in your favor as a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a marketer. Because social media is such a great tool, such a powerful tool, and it's literally changed so many lives. But a lot of you are not really tapping into the full potential that you have on social media for your brand, your business, your income, because you are following these trends, you're listening to these gurus, and you're not staying true to your authentic self. So please be sure that you are figuring out the type of brand that really resonates with you and figuring out exactly who it is that you want to talk to. Because, like I said in the beginning, marketing is a two-way conversation. Okay. It's not just you talking at an audience. It's a two-way conversation where you have to be speaking the same language and there has to be dialogue between you and your audience. Okay. Meaning they talk to you, you talk to them, they talk to you again. It's back and forth. It's building a relationship. Branding is about building a relationship. Marketing is that conversation that helps you build that relationship. Okay. So I hope that this was helpful for you with understanding some of the things that you might be doing wrong on your social media. The audio version of this is going to be on all podcast platforms under the Social Profits Podcast. And you can also watch the video on my YouTube channel. This podcast is under the Beyond Her Hustle Network. So I'm super excited to start this new series. I just want to be able to help you guys tap into your full potential online and on social media. We also have the social profits community that is now open, which will be in the description of this episode. And so I appreciate all of you who tuned in live to listen in, or who tuned in to listen to the replay. So if you guys are on here, just let me know if you're live or on the replay. What was your biggest takeaway from this episode? If you're listening on the podcast platforms, leave a review and let me know what your biggest takeaway was. And I want to hear some different topics and questions that you have so that I know what I need to touch on for my next sessions, okay? So let me know some of the things you guys are struggling with as far as being able to grow on social media and use content marketing at your advantage, okay? Well, I appreciate you all for tapping in. Again, this is Sierra Nicole. This is the Social Profits Podcast on the Beyond Her Hustle Network. I am going to catch you guys on the next episode.